Hello Seekers, welcome to this video where we're going to relax with this strange concept of avidya or ignorance. What does that actually mean for us? What are we ignoring? Well, to begin, we have to remember the last couple of videos where I talked about the idea of non-self, that we don't exist, because when we look for ourselves, we cannot find it. We can never find that one self that we're always predicating all our life on, oral dramas. And likewise, we can't find anything permanent. Everything is changing, or everything is moving, transforming itself. And so now that we have those two concepts known, it's easy to understand what is ignorance. Now, you see, I like to use the words that originated these concepts because we get a little bit more of an insight. So studying the meaning of the word, studying the origin of the word, helps us understand why did we use it in the first place. You see, so avidya comes from the same roots that we have for video or vision. And that gives us a really good hint, because avidya means not seeing or not perceiving. That is ignorance, and it's in the way that it was used, poetically, of course, because all language was meant to be descriptive. In this case, it was used for describing the ignorance that we're not seeing. What we're not seeing in reality is that things are impermanent. Things are changing all the time, and at the same time, there is nobody to be seeing. There is no individual self that is actually seeing the world. And so avidya means not seeing. Vidya means seeing or knowing, perceiving. And so this is the basis of us simply ignoring the true reality. Because when we analyze ourselves, we always think like, oh yeah, I exist, I'm an individual, I do things, and when you question the I, you never find it. You never find this I that is always doing things. There's just a happening. And there is a very thin threshold for us between all the things that happen to me and all the things that I do. Even within our bodies, things seem to happen to us, but we do claim to do certain things. And so it's interesting just to see how our mind works to obscure those things that doesn't have control over it, but does want to claim ownership of certain things. So avidya is simply that, the ignoring of reality. Now you can see how our society has been ignoring this completely. The fact that everything changes and that we are not a permanent thing. At least the real thing that we think we are, this individual self that eventually is going to die, and there's no one to die. You see, there's no death of anything. If anything, there is just transformation. And we can see this in nature. We can see that things don't really die. They just transform into new things for other things to grow. And so why are we so separate from that? But this is needed. You see, this whole idea of ignoring reality. See, you have to ignore who you are in order to become something else. See, when you play a character, or when you imagine something, you have to forget what you are. You have to give in to your imagination. And from there, you can go and explore the world in your mind, in your imagination, whatever world you're creating, or the character that you are embodying at that moment. So you have to always play this ignorance. You even play with people. You play like you don't know about something. You're ignoring that. It's plain for you to see, but you're ignoring its reality for whatever shenanigans you're playing with other people. But you see, it's always this element of ignoring that which stands out, that which is tangible, which we can't get away from. And the thing is that we become this rigid person that has all these ideas and wants to control reality. And this is where the ego is formed, because I myself exist and I need to control things. Now, I say that this is all necessary because ignorance is the birthplace of the world as we know it. Ignorance is what creates everything, because with this idea that things are changing in them, we need to control them, we need to keep them as tight as possible. Order, we need to create order. In this order, then we create. So it is a natural step for humans to live in this ignorance. But that person who awakens, who illuminates itself, can see this. And that is why we come out of ignorance into Vidya. We see. We finally perceive the world as it is. And we're not playing God anymore. Because trying to control the world is ignoring that we are the world. So we're trying to control ourselves. How can you be God of your own self when you are that God? If you want to see it that way, that's what we're trying to play. And indeed, the people that go into this rampage of trying to control everything, they're playing the biggest God that is on earth, trying to control everything and everybody. And this is the extent of ignorance. We find ourselves always trying to dominate things because our social and scientific paradigm tells us that we are a separate being, that we are an individual thing that will die and must do everything in its wake to preserve this important machinery that we call the human body, and that we must fear death above all things, because death is final. Death is the obliteration of this illusory self. And that's why the mystic doesn't fear death. Not because it's brave or because it's daring, simply because he or she knows what death is. It's a transformation. That's why they are not afraid of things changing in the world. Watching the news, having a fight, whatever happens is just the flow of things. There's nothing to change. You can't change anything because A, things are changing naturally, and B, you don't exist to change it. So you give up all your ideas of controlling reality. You stop playing God, and at the moment that you stop playing God, you become God. You become this Tao, this flow of nature. So awakening really means waking up to the reality that A, everything is impermanent and is in constant flux and change. So why would I even want to change things? If it's already happening, why would I give more effort? It's like when you try to compose yourself. Why would you put more effort into an already strained person? If you're stressed, don't try to control your stress. It's only going to get out of hands. So why do that? So no changing. We don't need to change anything. We don't need to change ourselves. Ourselves are already changing. What we call ourselves is already changing. Why would we want to change the world? The world is already changing. And so all you can do is be what is. Whatever it is, whatever river you are, whatever water is flowing through you, just be that water. And you see, it's the ego's idea that we want to hold on to something, some sort of idea or identity that we are, that makes it so difficult. But it's changing anyways. So the only thing is that in the end, when we die or when we wake up, you realize that all of that was in vain. I mean, everything that needed to happen happened. And you're just a product of that. Or you, the perceivable change that is happening through you. That flow of the river was just happening. Couldn't do anything about it. This is where happiness resides, in the realization that everything is changing. You can't do anything about it because you don't exist again. And so you give up to reality, to whatever is going, whatever is flowing. So this is avidya, is ignorance, ignoring our own true essence, ignoring reality as it is and trying to control it. Now you see how this simple experiential and empirical evidence of reality without any strange metaphysical concepts allows you to see that first, there's no ego to get rid of because it doesn't exist either. The ego is the separate self, the idea that I am an individual person that needs to do this and needs to do that, has an agenda for the world. And so it naturally dissolves. And all you become is just this one thing that is happening here. And you see other people and you say, well, that's happening there. There's no person there. You just see them as a sort of contracted mind that believes that it's controlling itself. Why? Because that's what creates the world and the multiplicity of personalities that we have. It is a mechanism to create more variety. Just like a tree is just a bunch of carbon, hydrogen, proteins, nitrogen, all together and pretending to be a tree, but in essence it's all that. It's just, once again, it just dissolves into particles, if we want to call them that, and it just gets recycled, and now worms are born out of those materials and so on. It's just a constant recycling of everything. You see? And so we are that. We're just a different complexity of trying to pretend the game. And this game is what we call samsara, the wheel of death and rebirth. So once we let go of that, once we surrender to the true nature of reality, you are no longer ignoring it. So you come out of ignorance. So ignorance is not that stupidity that we have assigned to it. It's simply the ignoring, as I may be ignoring whoever's next to me. I just ignore it. I know he's there, but I'm ignoring him. You see? We come out of that and we embrace whatever it is that we are. We allow it to be. And that is the concept of ignorance. Simple as that. The more we can analyze these things, the easier it is for us to understand our reality. So, there you have it. Simple video. Nothing, no complexities involved, just simple check of reality. And you'll find that all of this is what it is. It's the truth. And you can believe that it's not. You can contract yourself into something else, and you're still being the truth, because that is the game of pretending to be something. And that's all well and good. So my point is that no matter what you do, you're always doing the right thing. Because, well, first, you don't exist, and whatever's happening through you is what needs to happen. What we call bliss, happiness, is just abiding in that true essence of the self. Nothing else. So I hope this made sense to you, and that it was valuable, and that it was a little bit mind-opening for your view of reality, because that's the point of this series. The next time we're going to talk about suffering, dukkha. What does that mean? That'll be the next video. Until then, take good care, just enjoy life, and I'll see you in that one.